Okay, so last night I let dogs out, right?
Yeah.
So they come out of the house and they run down towards the backyard here.
Yep.
And they go around the house and back up to the front yard.
Yeah.
I walk out back and see the birdhouse right there.
Yep.
There's a big doe standing on the other side of that rock wall looking at me, both ears sticking up in the air.
Figures, right?
So I don't want the dogs to chase her, so I walked down and said, hey, you got to go. Come on, sweetheart. Head back to the woods. And she stands there looking at me.
So she wasn't listening?
She was listening, but she just wasn't responding. She thinks she owns the place.
Oh.
So I walked towards her, and then she does that high step down towards the opening there.
That's what all these tracks are.
That's what all these tracks are.
Oh.
She got down right here, right where these tracks are. She stops, looks back at me. I'm only 30 yards from her.
Wow.
So I walked down a little further, trying to stay out of all this mud. And I'm like, look, you got to go. You got to get out of here. So she starts that high step again.
So in the meantime, where were the dogs?
They were out front, sniffing the air. So what does she do? She high steps right through the roadway there, right to your backyard.
Oh, so that's what Tilly was going crazy about.
They think they own the place.
Crazy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our channel, Two Brothers Outdoors. Today, we're going to talk about a problem that I've seen on the sawmill forums, and it's always been a problem. Even back when I had the commercial mill, it was a real big problem. But the problem is, if you'll look back here towards the sawmill, you'll see a big pile of offcuts, waste. And behind that, there's a big pile of sawdust, more waste. What do you do with your waste from the sawmill? And you may not think it's a problem, but let's talk about the commercial aspect of it first. And then you can see what kind of problem it actually becomes.
Absolutely.
And how we deal with the problem right now.
We're pretty lucky.
Are you ready? Okay, guys, just a quick story to get this started so you can understand what the actual problem of waste is. Now, years ago, all these trees weren't here. 23, 24 years ago, I had a commercial mill set up here. We had a big operation that was going on. There's a rock wall right there.
Big planer was here.
There's a tree line right here. Not these little trees, but the big trees over here. This whole thing was a big roadway for trucks to come in and drop logs off over here in the log yard, which we'll show you in a minute. That structure right there you see with no walls on it, that used to be the office. That's where trucks would check in. That's where they collect their money for dropping off logs. And then the box up there, we kind of stored cherry and maple in there to keep it out of the weather, to ship it off to another area, another mill that kiln dried it and sent it over to Germany. A lot of wood went through this mill, and I'll tell you, it was a great setup. All right, let me show you what we got. Okay, so before all this mud and grass showed up, and I tell you right now, all this dirt and this mud came from a pond we dug over here a couple years ago. And then we used the tractors just to spread out the excess dirt all around, and gravel's under that. And now we got grass growing. But planer was set up here. We had a big four-sided planer. That was under a building. Over here where all these trees are now, we had a resaw set up over here, which was actually just another sawmill, just a little bit smaller than the mill we had. And then back over in here, you can see all these rocks beyond these bushes. Let me move you over here so you can see it.
Bring them on over here. Give them a first-hand look. Come on, lumberjack.
Alrighty, so it doesn't look like much now, but all these rocks and stuff came out of the pond. But the big mill was set up right through here, right where all these trees are. We had a sawdust blower set up under both mills and the sawdust conveyor set up under our resaw, under our edger, and then our planer over here, we had a chip blower. And all these blowers went into a centralized system that had a big rubber hose. We had people with horses and stuff come up. They wanted to use it for bedding. They back a horse trailer up to the hose. We stick the hose in the horse trailer, and we can fill that horse trailer up pretty fast. 15-20 minutes of sawing on a 2-horse trailer, we could have it right level full. Yep. With sawdust. Now the chips went into a separate area. People bought the chips for bedding, but they also bought it for gardens and stuff like that, because hardwood, I guess, is good for the gardens, and people like the pine sawdust and stuff for blueberry farms. They put it around the blueberry bushes. I guess blueberries like high acid soil. Alright, but the one big problem we did have, the sawdust, because it was so coarse off the circle mill, was very easy to get rid of. The chips off the planer, they were clean. There was no bark in the chips. They were also easy to get rid of. The one thing we could not get rid of, the one thing we could not, we couldn't beg people to come get it, was the offcuts. The offcuts off the mill. As the big mill run, there was 2 live conveyors on it. Lumber would go off this way and be stacked over here. The offcuts would go off the end over here.
This is part of one of the old conveyors right here.
Yep. The offcuts would go off the end of the mill, and had a guy that would stack them up on a set of forks on the 930 cat loader that we had. We also use those forks to load logs on the log deck. But the offcuts, at the end of a day, we'd have a mountain of them. And at the end of 2 days, we had a bigger mountain of them, and we couldn't get rid of them. We tried chipping them up, and we rented a chipper, tried to chip them up and put them in a trailer, see if the paper companies would want them. Too much bark, they weren't interested in it, not enough wood versus bark. So we kind of ran into a dilemma. Fortunately, at the time, we had a bunch of teenagers that we had teenagers.
Love bonfires.
They love bonfires, so every weekend they'd pile it up high and they'd have a big bonfire, but they still wouldn't get rid of it. Once in a while,
well, your youngest son there, you built a circle mill or circle saw for.
Yeah, he took an old firewood. Took an old firewood. What the hell they call it?
Chop saw.
Chop saw. Sawed it up into firewood and put it up by the road for campfire wood, but still, that was not that much.
No.
Compared to what we were producing, it was nothing. And the only way we got rid of it was to burn it. Once a year, up on the big lake up above us here, they have a ring of fire around the lake. Everybody owns a camp on the lake. So at the end of the summer, we were fortunate enough to have people park their pickup trucks, and they would just load those trucks up so they could have big bonfires. But that waste was a pain, and it was just, oh my God, we just can't get rid of it. And I see other big mills, especially in Amish, where they just dump them over a bank.
Yeah.
And they got acres of these offcuts.
Yeah, they just cover up with dirt.
Fortunately, guys, with the bandsaw mills, we get a lot of offcuts, but nothing like we used to get. Now, anytime you want to leave something in the comments about what to do with the offcuts, that's the whole purpose of this video, is to figure out what to do with them, because I see a lot of people saying, what do you do with the offcuts? What do you do with the sawdust? What do you do with this? So, let's go over here and we'll show you what we do with the band mill. Okay, so fortunately, the sawdust that comes off of our mills, they blow out of the back of the building right here, and I can use the tractor with the back blade, and we got a low area right here where we keep our logs, so I just pull the sawdust down there, and it doesn't look like it because the grass grows through it, but we got tons of sawdust down here. And if you watch the earlier videos of my sawmill, this sawmill was about 2 feet above the ground when we started, and I just kind of let the sawdust fill in around the mill and make a nice level area right here under the mill. Tim's about the same way. He drags his sawdust out to a low area, and that's worked out fine so far. But there is 2 options you can do with the sawdust. I am told by gardeners that if you take the sawdust and mix it with grass clippings, as grass clippings start to deteriorate, they create nitrogen, and I guess the sawdust has troubles breaking down or something to do. I'm not a scientist or a chemist, but it helps the sawdust break down into a usable product for topsoil, stuff like that. But you mix grass clippings with it and weeds and anything is green, and as it dies, I guess it produces nitrogen as it dries out or deteriorates, and that's exactly what the sawdust needs. Now, if you're sawing softwood, mostly pine, I know blueberry farms will be more than glad to get the sawdust from you, because the pine sawdust is high in acid, and that helps the blueberries grow the way they're supposed to. We put them around our blueberries, and they seem to thrive with the pine sawdust. Not so much with the hardwood sawdust. All right, so the sawdust really isn't a big problem with these mills. We use our tractors to move the waste into low areas, and once we get this low area filled into where it's good, we will trailer it down to the mud holes in our trails and fill in the mud holes with it. So we got plenty of use for our sawdust. But whatever you do with your sawdust, if you want, leave it in the comment section. Everybody can learn from this experience. Okay, so on the offcuts, I'm going to show you what we do. We built a rack. It's just a simple rack, and I'm going to cut these up real fast. I'll have Tim cut them up real quick. And
Whoa. With this? Not the arbor saw.
why?
The cutoffs? No, those are for like the husky. Whoa.
Oh, that's not that much there, is there?
It'd probably take me an hour, but I could get to it, I'm sure.
All right, so I'm going to cut this up real quick because the pile's getting kind of high, and we'll show you what the rack looks like. It's a very simple rack, works out really well. And then what we do is we actually have a guy that'll come get our cutoffs once we saw them up into firewood, and we sell it for $25 a pickup load.
And we use it for camping.
And we use it for camping. But we got a guy, we got his number, and every time we call him, he rushes right out here. He uses it for heating his home, I guess. Maybe he sells it for camp wood. I have no idea. But he's glad to get it, and he keeps our racks clean. The only reason we have this the only reason we have these piles of sawn up offcuts here right now is all the rain we've had this winter. Everything is a mucky mess. Can't drive down here yet, but as soon as we can, I'm sure we'll give him a call. He'll come pick it up quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Whoa. What about your ear protection? Your gloves? I don't see them on your hands. And your hard hat. Good thing you wear glasses now, because you got eye protection all the time. I ain't got to worry about that no more. Much better.
Are you happy?
I am happy. Only thing you need now is chaps. Did you find such an aggressive blade? Or chain, I'm sorry.
Well, I want you to know that I was in contact with Michael Wilson at Wilson Forest Lands over this chain. Some kind of weird chain. It had, instead of having rakers like this, it had rakers that were like this. You never saw anything like it before. I never seen anything like it before. It's an Oregon chain. Bought it at the show up in Boonville. So I cut them off. Michael didn't think it was a good idea, but I thought it was.
Yeah,
it's
well,
not bad. It's just a little aggressive.
Just a little. It looked like the little wood was giving you a harder problem than the big wood. Look at that.
This normally wouldn't be a problem because all this would be gone. But like I said, over the course of the winter, the guy hasn't been able to get back here because of so much rain.
That center is usually the hardest to cut, isn't it?
Well,
Once it claps in on it, so.
we got a lot more wood in here than we normally have when we cut it out. Look at these pieces.
Ooh,
Who made those cutoffs?
that was you.
Who was the sawyer in charge of that?
You. This is your mill.
Gotta make sure to leave Tim's path open here.
Yeah. So I don't slip and bust my fanny. Yep.
Yeah, this little stuff makes great kindling, but boy, a lot of work to do with it.
Filled up the center of your rack. Well, we got yours done. Now I gotta go do mine. Alright guys, you got the gist of it.
Okay guys, now it doesn't look like it, but I'm going to say there's maybe, I know there's at least 2, maybe 3 pickup loads of wood here. And it's not a lot of money, $25 a pickup load, but you know what? After dealing with the big mill and mountains of this stuff, I am more than glad to get rid of it.
Plus we don't have to touch it anymore other than cutting it up.
Right, once it's cut up like this, we're done with it. All right, so here's the rack. Simple 4 legs. My cross braces come here and here. My first mistake was I put the forward and the rear cross braces even with the side cross braces, and you can see what happens with the saw. So what I did was I went below the cross braces down here, put another cross piece. It's substantially lower than the side braces, what the wood lays on. So you'll never go below these cutting the wood. And I did the same thing on the front, put another cross brace below the side braces. Simple rack to build. Slanted this on this way. That way you can get more wood on it as you pile it up. But it works out well for us. Usually it takes about 15, maybe 20 minutes to saw it. If I don't have to throw the wood away from it, just let it fall, it works a lot better. But like I said, the guy hasn't been here all winter because of situation with no snow, no frozen ground, and a lot of rain. But that's how we deal with the waste off our mills. We will sell, I'm going to say maybe between us 20 pickup loads, you think?
Yeah, easy.
20 pickup loads a a year. So that works out. It helps get rid of the waste, and we make a little money off. All right, guys, we appreciate you coming along with us today. Hope you didn't mind our babbling too much about the waste of the commercial mill. And like I said, we'd love to hear what you do with your byproducts or your waste off your sawmills, sawdust, and your offcuts. And everybody can learn.
Maybe that should be a topic for our next sawmill and forestry roundtable.
Yeah, we got firewood could be a topic. We also got waste. Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along with us. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscription button.
Give us a thumbs up, guys. We appreciate each and every one of those likes. And you wouldn't believe it helps our channel out tremendously. We appreciate it. Notifications bell. You do not want to miss any of our future videos. And if you do, well, we don't have the playlist anymore, do we?
We do have a playlist. It's only got...
We shrunk it down.
We shrunk it down. It's only got 10 videos on it, some of our best.
So take a look at that. And then don't forget to share our stuff.
Share our stuff on Facebook, share it on X, share it wherever you can share it. We really appreciate all the participation and all the help.
So did you do the subscribe button?
I did.
Okay.
We already got it covered. And if you like this video, you can click on this one right here and watch this one next.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming along. Until the next one, we will catch you later.
Bye now.